Uh-oh. Might have to go get a new phone screen. Oh, if you see a fog in the corner of my screen, I dropped my phone and cracked it. So now I have a fog around me. What's up? I guess that's Peyton. What's up, dude? Kyle, yeah, I'm back from the deer hunting expedition. Back to reality. I was supposed to be. Jeremy, what's up? Travis, I was supposed to be here yesterday. All is good, man. All is good. Um, I came through your neck of the woods couple weeks ago. I think Peyton, aren't you from like Oklahoma, Arkansas area? Um, but back to the grind indeed. The This is what the grind brought me when I got back home. So I'd been I got home on like Thursday night, dicked around on Friday and Saturday, Sunday, and on Sunday I came up here and was Missouri. I drove through. We went to Kansas and we drove through upstate Arkansas and then cut through Missouri, went through Springfield and over to East Kansas. But I got here and my truck was sounding real weak when I started it, like the battery was going dead. And then I'd turn the key over and the dash would like black out. So this is odd. So I went and got a new battery. Walmart gave me a free battery, so I was pretty stoked on that. And then I got up to go to work yesterday, turned the key, and when I turned it over to crank it, all the lights blacked out. Sounds like a battery cable connection, some sort of issue like that. So I get in there and dick around. 8 hours later, I'm still scratching my head as to why my truck doesn't have power. Oh, it has power until I engage the ignition. And so I started running through stuff. And finally, at like 5 o'clock last night, I just crawled under it and I was like, I'm just going to see. Because I went through, try to find like all the grounds, like all that shit. And there was I went through 3 things and I don't know which one it was. But I unplugged the neutral switch on the transmission. And then there was a couple other little, I don't know what they went to. One was like a oil, I think it was like the oil level sensor or something. And I wiggled it around. But I wiggled these 3 different wires and like redid the connections. Some bitch ran like a damn top. So it only took me 8 hours and a completely missed day of work. I thought it was the starter, Kyle. Honestly, I thought the starter went bad. AJ, what's up? Peyton, what am I painting? I have some beautiful hand-carved Marty Burns Arkansas balsa baits that I will be painting. Probably looking like tomorrow. I might start them today. Then I don't know what else. I got a bunch of stuff people sent me from when I was gone. Travis, it was the flux capacitor. I could only do 87 yesterday. And I could only go back to the year 2008. So I got to get that shit worked on. But yeah, I got some Burnsies. I got some Burnsies to go blast here in a little bit. I got them ready to go. I thought I was going to paint them before I left, but I didn't want to rush them, so uh, I saved them. I saved them for now. Vince, what's up? Travis, I did enjoy your state. Only have one regret while visiting Kansas, and that is that I didn't eat Casey's pizza. Somebody reminded me while I was out there when I was leaving. Uh, did you try Casey's? And it completely slipped my mind. But now that I think about it, um, what am I holding? The baits with? It is a 10-year-old X-Acto handle that is caked with Peyton. If you have YouTube, look me up on YouTube, and the picture is much clearer because my phone screen's cracked. So I guess I'm gonna have to go get that changed now. But just X-Acto handles. But they're not the fastest in the world, which is their drawback. Um, but they're secure, so that's what I like about them. And I see, like, Peyton, dude, I see these guys using all these damn helping hands, and I just like it makes sense as to why they're using them, but like I don't know who's got room for those damn things, dude. You got to have like some serious space to have like if I'm paying 50 to 100 baits, like I don't have room for 50 helping hands, but like 50 of these little things, I can put 10 on a block, and that takes up literally like 3 feet of space. Um, but they're like I said, they're pretty slow. Like it's a little bit of work to put them in here, and secure them. But I mean, from the time like I don't have to, I will never touch this bait again. I wash them, and then I just mask the bills. Have my gloves on and stuff. I'm like really OCD about that. Like I'm not one of those like I am kind of a germaphobe, but uh, uh, I get like really paranoid with baits getting like grease on them and shit, and I have almost one of those like obsessive things where like I think I'll put a pair of gloves on and then like touch a bait to like mask the bill so I don't get any like fingerprints and shit on it, and then I'll start thinking, oh, I touched a piece of a doorknob with that glove trying to get in here. My glove's contaminated now, and I gotta like wash the glove with like acetone. But I get uh, I get a little kooky when it comes to greasy fingers. That's like my pet peeve, or it's not even a pet peeve. It just makes me cringe when I see a guy that like freshly painted a bait and then he puts it in his greasy hand that's covered in Createx. He's like, "Look at my bait." It's like, dude, you're getting shit all over that thing. Put some damn gloves on. AJ uses helping hands for belly painting. That's interesting. I couldn't tell you the last time I painted a belly, so I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I get real paranoid with the greasy fingers. I get paranoid with the contamination. Travis, I did sell out of Christmas trees, and then I found some more. I found my count was wrong, so I've got I added 6 more to the website, so I have 6 more to sell. Um, so I added those. If anybody is shopping between now and then, there's 6. I have five I'm probably going to give away if somebody wants one to fish. I haven't figured out what is going to be the best method to get those out into the world. Um, and But I do have some that did not reach Bacccckkk inspection qualifications. Nothing wrong with them. I'm just a little anal at times, and most people would have sold the shit out of them, but I didn't feel like I wanted to sell those because they didn't look perfect. The red line isn't as bold on some of them, so they didn't pass the test. So oh shit, I'll be keeping those for a giveaway or something like that. AJ, I should have glittered the bill. That would have been the easiest thing to do. AJ, have you seen the who dis? Hella, I didn't. Speaking of new phone, if you look on the Instagram feed, it looks like there is a foggy cloud above my head because I dropped my phone in the paint room and cracked my screen. And I think a new screen is going to cost me as much as my phone. So, not really stoked on that. Oh, back to my truck. So, when I was greeted with this electrical gremlin, I was digging around in the engine bay. And guess what else I found? Coolant leaking out of my radiator. Ah, man. So everybody said, "Yay, you got your truck running, yay!" And I said, "Oh, no, 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 not out of the hay yet." So why? So I got to order a radiator. I said, "Oh, well, that's not good." No, it's not good. So that's what goes and happens. That's what happens when you go and dick off in the woods for 10 days. All your shit breaks. So, but I'm used to it at this point. What tackle company is Hella going to piss off this week? I don't know. Good question. There's probably a laundry list. Kyle's the radiator itself. It's on the driver's side on the plastic. It's weeping. So thing's a damn lemon. Chris, you did not miss the hunting adventure recap. It was an odd year in Kansas this year. Not a lot of deer activity. They were very nocturnal. Had a few cameras out. We go check the cameras, and like the entire daylight hours were seemingly blank. Um, so that made things hard. Um, so I went to where I thought the best deer were going to live, and just kind of prayed that you might get one of those rando big ones that walked through randomly at like 11 o'clock. That never happened. My dad calls me. I said, "Hey, we're coming back from town. There's a big one behind the house." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, he's still there." Well, the true sportsman I am, went over there and shot his ass. Done. Get out of the truck, at least. So it wasn't glamorous, but it's a nice buck. Nice buck. Jeremy, I did see that hairless deer. It was really creepy. I wouldn't have shot that thing. Uh, I did get out of the truck, Travis, because I'm a true sportsman. Um, yeah. So when times are tough, uh, that's the kind of shit you got to do. AJ, no, I didn't want the recoil to blow it off the hood, so I just left it in the truck. Um, but yeah, it was pretty tough out there. It was pretty tough. Not a lot of big deer running around. Not a lot of any of that stuff. So take what I can get. If I gotta go blast them by the house, so be it. Um, Kyle, I'm with you. I'm not into any of that weird stuff because I would have, like I said, I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. I would have thought if I walked over there and touched it, like all my hair would have fallen out and I would have like contracted some sort of weird deer virus. So I don't know. The whole state is experiencing the same thing. That's odd. I don't know what. It was one of the stranger years that I can recall. Um, as far as deer movement goes, it was just odd. Weather was kind of warm. We never got. Yeah, the drought did probably not help. I guess that probably killed off a lot of maybe the big ones in the summertime. Um, so I I did find a pond that had water in it. So the day after I tagged out, I got the old two-piece Shimano out, Spyrex rod, which it wasn't a Spyrex rod. It was the rod came on a Spyrex combo. But the name of the rod wasn't a Spyrex. I don't know what the name of the rod was, but it was the only rod I had that was a two-piece. So I thought about it and I was like, ooh, that'll work. So I packed up my two-piece Shimano and my Stratic, and I took it to the woods. And embarrassingly enough, uh, there's this one pond on the property that I caught them in like a couple years ago, and it was pretty good. Like the fish were literally like this long, but they were aggressive, and it was like freezing cold, and they bit, and they bit in the shallowest water, which was really odd to me. Uh, they bit up in the shallow end, and the pond had some sort of grass in it. I don't know what kind of grass it was, but I went over there and I started fishing my way around the dam, and I noticed I wasn't getting any bites. So I told my buddy George, I said, I'm going up around the other side where I caught him last time, like 2 years ago. So I'll go over there. Dude, sure as shit. I make a cast over there. Ding! Get a little bite, miss him. So I only took one bag of soft plastics. I took the Prodigy shrimp worm, whatever he calls it. Austin, what do you call this damn thing? So I took those with me, and I had it. I don't know what you call it, but it was kind of like a shaky head, but it didn't really look like a shaky head. It was kind of flat. Because the fish were real small. But I took that bait. And it was actually, as gay as this is, too heavy. And it was like one of those like 1793s, whatever Z-Man has. It was a little bitty jig head. Like it was pretty light. I guess 1793s wouldn't be that light, or maybe it would. But anyway, so I threw what I thought would be a light enough jig head, but it wasn't. It was bogging down in the grass, and so I told George, I said, this isn't working, because the only bite I got, I changed to a spinner bait, and I got one to thump it. And before that, I got one because my bait kept bogging down in the grass. I started swimming it, and I got one to bite it like that. And this water had ice on it like previously, so no bites on the bottom. Started swimming it, got a peck. I said, all right, if they'll chase something, I'll throw a spinner bait. Got a spinner bait, got another bite, but it didn't hook up. So I immediately took the whatever it's called when you take like the tail end of this off and you make it like 2 inches long. I took that off my jig head and I threaded it, and I Texas rigged it on a 3/0 Superline extra wide gap Gamakatsu. I said, we're going to go weightless on this little stogie. So I went with the weightless stogie rig, and that was the deal. So I started walking around the pond, and that's when I got real dialed in. I got into the I dialed into the pond pattern, and it was a legit pond pattern. So around the edge of this pond is like this line of grass that goes around like a foot and a half of water. If you could go around that grass line and you could find a little point in the grass, or one piece of grass, or one clump of grass that stuck off past the rest of all the other shit, there was one on it. And I told George, I was like, I'm on him, bro. And he's like, what? I was like, I'm on him, watch. I was like, you see that clump of grass right there? Watch this. Let it sink. Set the hook, and it'd be like a little 8-incher. But it was fun. I had a blast. But the funny thing is, I have pictures of me snatching these little bass, and I am indeed wearing a Rather Be Dead Than Ned sweatshirt. I went home and took a long hot bath and looked myself in the mirror and said, who are you? Who are you? You live You sleep in a bed of lies. But that was so does a if you take a piece of a trickworm and it's like 3 inches long and you fish it weightless, does that qualify as a you know what rig? That's my real question. Is a 3-inch little half of a Cinco a qualifier? Does that qualify as an NED? Fishes 10 minutes in Kansas and starts throwing around the Ned. I mean, honestly, if I would have been given my choice of tackle, it would not have been that. My choice of tackle would have been a beetle spin. I think I could have hammered them on a beetle spin. So they should have just taken you behind the barn and put you out of your misery. Yeah, it was self-induced. Vince comes to my defense and says, no, that does not qualify as a Ned. So I was not indeed netting. I caught an 8-pounder on a weightless split tail spinnerbait trailer. Felt sissy, but it worked. Tyler, that's pretty cool. Rooster tail would have worked. Tyler, I'll tell you another story about a buddy of mine. When we were kids, he was, we always fished, I still do. We always fished super chunks as our jig trailer. Regular or the junior, but mainly the regular. And his grandpa was fishing with him, and he was fishing a flipping blue chunk on a black and blue jig, pretty standard stuff. And his grandfather was out fishing by himself, and he came back in, and he said, caught him on a black and blue jig. He said, they weren't hitting it real good, though. I think they were pecking the trailer. I said, all right. He said, I think they're eating the trailer. I think they want the trailer. They don't want the rest of the jig. Okay. So he goes back to the house and he starts digging around in all his tackle and shit. And he rigs up this rig and goes out there and commences to waylay in their ass. Said he caught like a 7-pounder, which is probably a 5, but regardless. I said, what'd you catch him on? He said, I caught him on that super chunk. I said, what jig? He said, I didn't have it on a jig. What do you mean? I said, I Texas rigged it. I said, you Texas rigged a super chunk? He was like, yeah. Said, how'd you do that? Said, I went back to the house and found me this little hook. It was basically like a kind of like one of those, almost like an octopus hook, kind of. And he Texas rigged a super chunk junior, I believe, in flipping blue with like a little like 1/8 ounce sinker. It was just like pitching it. Pretty cool. But he smashed their ass. So that was kind of similar to Texas rigging a split tail spinnerbait trailer. Baitworks is doing 2 baits, buy 2 Zoom baits, get 2 free. AJ, is that a good deal? Do you recommend it? Do you recommend it? See what I did there? Recommend. Um, I have to go. I have to go look and see what they got. What they got cooking. Not that I need anything, but I need to be doing the opposite. I need to be selling off shit instead of buying stuff. So are they pretty? Are they depleted? I need to. Yeah, I need to have a purge. I started thinking about this. I was like, why do I have all this shit? Yeah, it looks awesome on the wall, and I enjoy looking at it. But at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is can't hear me. Uh-oh. Anybody else on YouTube not being able to hear? James, go to YouTube. Um, yeah, if nobody else can hear on Instagram, let me know. If you can hear me, go to YouTube. Uh, but I started thinking about it, and I was like, the only reason I have a lot of this shit is because if somebody says, "Hey, do you have this?" I can go back and like dig it off the wall. But bro, Dickie D, what's up, dude? How's the weather in Florida? Travis is on Insta. He can hear me. He just got the fog. Travis, you must be traveling. Travis, we did get a little farther west. Dickie D, I dropped my phone and cracked my screen, bro. Got a little poo-poo on it. I think that's what it is. I can't see it, but I believe that's what happened. But Travis, I did travel west in your great state, and I made it to the big city of El Dorado and had dinner at True Lies. Anybody ever been to El Dorado, Kansas, and eaten at True Lies? They have a sign on the door that says, "If you get in a fight, you're shit out of luck. Take that shit outside. You can't come back." We're not trying to fight. We're just trying to have dinner. Dickie D, I wouldn't count on it. Travis, it was at night. I couldn't see. Wouldn't have known that there was a lake there. Watching the Kardashians from my warm bath. No, hella, actually, at this place we were at, we had one TV that was about a 50-incher, but for every inch it was tall, it was that many inches deep or more. And there is no cable. And by cable, I mean there's not even regular, like you can't even get one of those like digital satellites or digital antennas and hook it up and get any channels. It's too far out. So there was a TV with a DVD player. And we watched, I brought my FLW DVD collection. And I watched FLW DVDs every night. And I will say, Blockett had a pretty legit career on the FLW tour. As much as people give him shit about like sucking, in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, like all those FLWs I watched, Blockett was in there. Like he was in a lot of them. And, you know, whatever he's done lately. Um, but back then he was, and I didn't watch FLW much back then. Um, because I didn't care for their, I didn't care for their, format and just how they filmed it. It was really good when ESPN did it. When Jerry and Tommy commentated for ESPN for the FLW tour, that was probably some of the better bass fishing programming you could watch. That was really good, but that only lasted for about 3 years, where it was really good, or 2 years. Um, like 97, 99 was really good. Um, but yeah, he won a lot of those. Um, did real good. Did real good. But thought he was a puss and had a chip on his shoulder. Probably. Probably. But I think he was probably just dejected because he was always, he wasn't always, but he was in the hunt a lot. He just couldn't, he wasn't a closer, right? Um, so that was probably frustrating. Weighed on his his mind. Uh, when am I gonna win one of these? I'm tired of being in fourth and third and second and fifth and ninth and 10th and whatever. Uh, I mean, you can hear it in his rants when he talks about it, that he should have won. Should the event been done like this or whatever? No, you shouldn't. You should have won if you won. You didn't win. But those were Clun was a beast on the FLW tour back in the day. There's a bunch. Um, he was good when electronics played 0%. Yeah, he actually, funny as it may be, uh, I don't remember how many tournaments Blockett has won. The only one that sticks in my mind is when Bassmasters came to the Mobile Delta, the goofiest ass, like, shitty fishery on the planet, and Blockett comes here and wins the top 150 on the Mobile Delta. And he was throwing a little Griffin megabass crankbait and a ringworm. So explain that. And I tried to make a comment on one of his posts like a year or two ago, like before he really blew up. He mentioned something about like a tournament schedule, and I was like, "Do you want to see him come back to Mobile?" Dickhead didn't even respond. The old Bassmaster, when they did the whole opening scene with him, they showed him getting out of bed as a classic. Yeah, they did a whole. There's a whole episode where it's like an angler on tour thing, and they follow around Blockett like in practice, and I think at the hotel, and like through all this shit. And he was rooming, I think, with Joe Thomas, but it was like there was like video of them like sitting in their room looking at maps and shit, and, which is pretty cool. I like. I used to love reading maps back in the day. Like I would, I'd just sit there with a topo map and like mark shit on it and be like, "Oh, this is going to be the juice." And then you get the funny thing is, having never seen lakes, like if you're planning on going to a new lake and you're going to map out the whole lake on a paper map, like where you're going to fish, and you're like visualizing all this. You're like, all right, there's like a channel swing. Here's this hitting this, and you're like marking all these spots, and you're visualizing you catching like all these bass out of the spots you've marked, and how beautiful it's going to look, and like all the fishy habitat that's going to be there. And you get there, and you're like, oh, let's go check out this bank, and you get there, and it's like the Sahara Desert. It's like Nothing on the bank, no grass, no woods, just like poop, like some slick mud bank that's like a foot deep, 30 feet off the bank. It's like, this isn't what I had in mind. Then you go look at your other spot, and it's like some community hole. It's like, shit. You go to your next spot, and it's like, you know, some other something that you didn't envision. But yeah, the old map days were fun. Um, Fishing probably like that was probably 10 years ago. On my home body of water, which is the Alabama River at Miller's Ferry between Montgomery and Camden, Alabama, central part of the state. Um, I know it very well. I've been fishing it since I was probably 14 or 15, um, religiously. So I had a pretty good grasp on it, and I was fishing in up in this creek one day, and the weeds were dead on the bank, and I saw something. I was like, told told Jody, I was like, "Is that a map?" And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "It looks like there's a map floating over there." So I trolled over there, and sure as shit, there was one of those Lake Master or whatever Lake View maps that was like that like waterproof material, sitting there completely open, floating in this grass bed. So I pulled it up, and to my surprise, somebody had marked this map for someone that I guess had like a tournament or something up there, and they had somebody mark a map for them. So I got to see, which was very interesting to me, to see what spots they marked like throughout the lake that they considered to be like worthy markable spots. And it was so cheesy, like how people like break down lakes, and like how this person, you could tell it was like a old guy that was like just had very old school mentality of like how bass fishing works. And the guy would have like a red mark on a point, and it would say deep deep drop, uh, throw Texas rig worm. So that dude probably showed up and was like, "Oh, well, he said throw a Texas rig worm, so that's the only thing that I'm going to throw on here." And then the guy would mark some other thing and be like, "Oh, here's a creek mouth, crankbaits and worms." It's like, you guys, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Get out of here with this shit. But the graphs did get better, and they found all, which I don't know that Randy had any brush piles back then. All his brush piles would be easy to find because they'd be all be on the bank. If you watch in the early 2000s, like 2004 Sitco Bassmaster era, um, one of my favorite tournaments, it might have been later than that. It might have been 5 to 6, but I think it was in the 2004 era. They went to Lake Eufaula in Alabama, and Randy was in the top 10 or top 5 or top 3 or whatever on the final day, and he might have been leading going into the last day, but he was flipping bushes with a tube, and he missed so many fish, dude. Like he'd stick them and they'd get hung in the tree. He'd stick them and then they'd come off, and and then you have to listen to him go, "Golly!" But he, yeah, he had a meltdown that final day. I don't think he won though. I think I don't think Brower won that one either. I think Davey Height might have won that one. I can't remember. Uh, Jeremy, I do too. I love flipping a tube. That's probably the most underutilized, talked about pitching bait there is. I still really don't pitch anything but a sweet beaver and a damn tube. Uh, I don't flip anything that really flips like that. Floppies. That's not. Maybe in the summertime, but even in the summertime, I'm not like pitching or flipping a whole lot. So I typically just throw a big worm. But um, that what hook do I use? I've got some hooks from Travis Stearman that I have yet. I've tried once, but I caught them on a crankbait that day, and I didn't get to catch any on a tube. But I I've always just used a 3 or 4 aught Gamakatsu Superline, and if I felt like I was getting bad hookups, I would cut the back of the tube to where it had a slit in it. That seemed to help. I never really had a terrible hookup ratio. I am interested in trying the Haymaker, um, but no, I've flipped a tube since I was 16 and haven't stopped. Like they hadn't quit biting it, so I don't have like that's the other thing I don't understand about like the fishing industry. You see that a lot. Like guys catch the shit out of fish on something like their whole career growing up, and then all of a sudden they just quit fishing it. Like that's the thing with the tube. Like the tube will still catch a ton of like the smallmouth guys have never let it slide, but the largemouth guys, I think a lot of them have kind of gone. It's gone by the wayside. Uh, with other baits, but I think a lot of people fish a tube that, like, especially professionals. I think a lot of those guys fish a tube that don't necessarily talk about it. Um, AJ, I don't fish a crawl tube, um, and I always thought there was something to the crawl tube, and the only reason I say that was because of my vast collection of Bassmaster DVDs that I was watching all the time. Kelly Jordan, Dickie D. I think I actually might. I think they're at my parents' house. I'll go check. Um, but Kelly Jordan back in the day would always win big fish. Like the dude probably has got to have more big fish honors, like big fish of the tournament awards, than anybody in history. Dude always had big fish. It was insane. I don't know how he did it, but it seemed like he always caught them on that damn crawl tube, Lake Fork tackle crawl tube. I think it was back in the day. Um, and so I got to thinking about it. I was like, man, this crawl tube must just like catch giants. I should buy some. And then I looked at them and I was like, that's the shittiest looking crawfish I've ever seen in my life. I'm not fishing that. It looked too stupid. Like it looked too ugly. Um, so I gave up the potential of catching the biggest bass in the lake on a crawl tube for a lesser bait because I thought they looked dumb. Um, whether or not they catch larger than average fish, they might. I just didn't like them. I thought they looked dumb. Um, I don't know. Couldn't get past it. Hackney would put on a stupid tube. It's interesting. The crawl tube is like a giant TRD. Yeah, kind of. Just with stupid arms on it. Haven't fished a 6 cents tube. I didn't know they even had a tube. Big bites are super cheap. I'll throw the chompers. Chompers makes good stuff. Chompers. I talked to chompers on Instagram a couple times. They seem like nice people. They respond to. They'll reply to some of my stories and comment on pictures. So they seem very, like a very whoever's running their social media seems like a very friendly person. So shout out to chompers. I like your products. Um, but big bites, I don't think I like anything that Big Bite makes. I think the Yo Mama is supposedly a really good bait. Like it catches them real good, but I think it looks dumb too. Um, I only throw one tube. And it's right there in the blue pack. And it's made in Kentucky by a company that no longer exists. Provider Tackle Tube. The one I throw is right there. It's made by Prowler. I've got enough to last me probably a little bit of a lifetime. Um, but the Big Bite Swimming Mama, I'll have to check them out. I just don't. I don't like. I have. I'm a dick shopper. Like I don't like Big Bite because I don't like their packaging. I don't like looking in my boat and having their dumbass fish looking at me. It just looks cheesy. It looks cheap. It looks shitty. Um, I don't like it. I don't like their baits could be good. They're probably just fine. I don't like their designs really. I just don't like big bite baits. I think they look crappy. Um, so I would probably fish. I would maybe fish big bite if they didn't have such shitty branding and packaging and their whole vibe. I don't vibe with big bite. Dickie D's college team had a deal with Prowler. You got any? You got any Prowler uh, chameleon colored baits over there, Dickie D? That's the packaging. If anybody was curious, Pro Pitch lures. They're awesome. Great tubes. I tried to convert to the Berkeley flat tube that Ike had. Prowler's packaging was worse. Nah, dude. It's the fish that gets me. I don't mind their cheesy writing. It's the cheesy fish that bothers me on big bites. Um, the 6 Cents Crube kind of looks like a shrimp or a prawn. I have seen that one. If that's what you're referring to, AJ, with the 6 Cents bait. Um, but the dude at Prowler was a real dick. So I don't know if y'all have heard this story or not, but so when I was in college, there was a tackle store in Tuscaloosa named Woods and Water. I went in there, and the guy said, you should get some of these tubes. They're made by Prowler. I said, all right. He said, you got to call him though. And he said, tell him you want this color. He said he might try to give you some shit, but he should sell them to you. I said, okay. So called the guy, and I said, hey, I'm looking for some tubes. He was like, how many you want? And I was like, 100. What color? Told him the color. He said, I don't make those. So what do you mean you don't make them? I know you make them. I saw them. I held them in my hand in your packaging. He's like, I don't make that color. Bye. Click. Okay. So I went back to the store and I was like, hey, I called that old dickhead up in Kentucky. He hung up on me. He said he didn't make that color. He's like, yeah, he does that. Just call him back. So I called him back. I need some tubes, bro. All right, which color? I told him. He said, I done told you I don't make that color. Click. Fucking dick. So I go back up. So I did it, called him again. I said he didn't make that color. Like, damn. He's really playing hardball. I said, all right. So I said, try him one more time. So another couple weeks go by, a month goes by, call him back. Hello. I need the tubes and you know what color. I said, we ain't making that tube. Click. So anyway, time goes on and the dude gives me a pack and I like smash him on it. And the dude, like a year later, comes back and I go in Woods and Water and he's like, you're not gonna believe it. And I was like, what? And he's like, old man sold me the tubes. I was like, what do you mean? Like at your house? He's like, no, to the store. It's like, really? And he's like, yeah, he's making them for me. I was like, no shit. And he's like, yeah, they're there. You can get all you want. I was like, hell yeah. So um, I bought dozens and dozens of this tube throughout my career. And I went in Woods and Water one day, and they were having they had like one of those, like every fishing store does it, where they have like those plastic pelican boats and they fill them up with baits and have like a sale. Well, I walked over there because Prowler, like the packaging, it's a tube. It's not like people aren't like beating down the door to get the damn things. Packaging's ugly, so it's probably not like a hot seller. Um, so I look over in the plastic sail boat, and I see all these Prowler packages, and it's the color, and it's the tube. So I start like dragging them into my basket, and I get all these colors. I get everything. Like I'm just buying random colors. Like I didn't even care because the tube was like, I thought this just the tube was so good. Um, but I've actually burned through most of those, and the last time I called, I ordered 100 pack, and he sent me 100. He sent me 100 in a Ziploc bag, and I've still got those, and I've probably got 80 left in that bag. Um, but I'm very careful with that tube. Like when I'm fishing it, I'll rig it like 100 different ways to like make the tube last. Um, Dicky D, did 6 Cents update their plastics? Yeah, I think I don't know for certain, but I want to say they switched from Chinese plastic to U.S. Manufactured plastic. I believe. Don't quote me on that, but um, the Kitech tube is a solid, heavy salted tube. You don't need a tube jig to use them, and they're meant for stupid rigging. Hmm, very interesting. I was just a 5/16 sinker guy. Black lead 5/16 EWG Superline, 3 or 4 alt. That's it. Not not totally pegged either. Like I would leave my peg like a quarter of an inch above the sinker. Um, but still to this day, like if I need a bite, like if you're like you've got 30 minutes left in the tournament, go catch one. I'll probably tie on that too. Uh, and it doesn't matter time of year. Like don't care. Uh, it's just it's that bait. It is that bait. Uh, the same guy that don't net or use a spinning reel, but brings Ned baits in a spinning reel. Kyle, in my defense, if I would have had a two-piece bait casting rod, I would have certainly brought a bait casting rod. And I actually tried to rig up a Corrado on the spinning rod before I left. I hooked up a bait casting reel to the spinning rod, and I put it in my hand, and I was like, there's no trigger, and I don't know what this rod's going to do when it bends backwards. It should be fine, but I don't know. So um, I opted for my to knock the dust off the spinning reel. It was kind of awkward too, but it was good practice. I needed to practice up on the. I needed to. I don't know why, but I guess it was sporting. Uh, did you discuss your review of chili and cinnamon rolls yet? No, but I did. I did discuss that with Amy. I was like, she's like, "You excited about your trip?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm really excited to go to the land of chili and cinnamon roll eaters. She's like, what does that mean? I was like, all these people out in the Midwest, they eat a bowl of chili with a cinnamon roll in the other hand, and they dip it in the chili. And she's like, oh, I was like, yeah. But we went to a couple restaurants, or we went and ate out, I think, twice, and I never saw anybody eating chili or cinnamon rolls, so a little suspect. No, AJ, I couldn't find anybody serving chili or cinnamon rolls. I will say there's a place in Kansas that we eat at called the Copper Kettle, and they had years back. It closed during COVID, I think, but before that, like 3 or 4 years ago, when they were open and we were going out there, they did have cinnamon rolls, and they were like gigantic, and they were the most delicious cinnamon rolls you've ever eaten in your life. And they didn't make them in house; they got them from somebody else in town that made them for them. But they had reopened this year under new ownership, and the cinnamon rolls were not there. So uh, I know a few guys that eat tuna fish with raisin bread. Yeah, I think that does sound way worse than your bananas and cheese, South Jersey. Both sound pretty vile, but well, AJ, maybe when I come up to the North Country with you and Hella, and we go fishing in whatever pond y'all want to go to, maybe we can all sit down and have a meal of chili and cinnamon rolls. And we can do a live stream or a video of a reaction video. Redneck eats cinnamon rolls and chili for the first time. We'll see. Oh, but anyway, 1:30. Cracker Barrel cheese is the key. Cracker Barrel cheese. Is that the same? Would Red Ryan Hoop cheese substitute? Because I just bought a big block of that this morning. Um, Jeremy, my grandmother was always a little bit on the. She was always a little bit on the healthy side of food. So we'd go over to her house. My dad's mom. We'd go over to her house, and there wasn't a bunch of bullshit like snacks. No fruit by the foot or any of that bullshit. So her typical lunch she would make for you would be a grilled cheese sandwich with a pickle spear, no chips. And then for dessert, you would get a graham cracker with peanut butter on it. Well, sometimes if you like spend the night over there, you'd have to eat breakfast over there. For breakfast, she would serve you a bowl of shredded wheat in milk, and you'd always try to like butter up and be like, "Yeah, you got some sugar?" She's like, "For what?" Like, cereal? She's like, "Nah." She's like, "You want something sweet in there?" I'm like, "Yeah." She'd get a banana and go, crack, 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 crack. You know how people always like your parents and like grandparents always like cut shit in their hand and they'll put the knife blade up against their finger, and you're like, how are you not cutting your finger off? Because if I do that now, like I've sliced my damn finger up. But somehow parents and grandparents have this ability to cut things, to push their finger directly onto a knife blade, and it never cut their actual finger. Maybe their knives are just dull. But that was how she would sweeten our shredded wheat, was with a banana. It wasn't terrible. Um, Lifelong Midwesterner. Never in my life have I heard of chili and cinnamon rolls. All right, guys. Schoolmaster Tackle says he's not buying it. Schoolmaster, we got a whole we got a whole community of Midwesterners over here on YouTube that say chili and cinnamon rolls are standard protocol over that way. Dustin Taylor's still preaching about the peanut butter sandwich and chili. He's the lone wolf on that one. Later, Hella. It's a thing, see? Travis can concur. Dickie D's from Illinois, they don't do it either. You're too far east, bro. You gotta get in that band. Kansas, Missouri, kinda up there towards Wisconsin or Minnesota, Nebraska. The knives at my parents' house can only cut a banana. Same here, dude. Same here. Can't go wrong with the grilled cheese, especially making with Velveeta. Ooh. I don't know that I could do that. That ain't Midwest. That's the West. I don't know. Is my geography off? Am I offending all you Midwesterners by calling you Midwesterners when you're in fact Westerners? AJ, do you consider yourself, Travis, do you consider yourself a Westerner or a Midwesterner? Dickie D, I'm from Illinois, and we'll all for it up here. Dustin Taylor says he's all about the chili and the cinnamon rolls. Dickie D, I think you just you must have been a city slicker or something. It's an Ozark thing. Nebraska and Kansas are right in the middle. Right on the cusp of being west. I would consider Nebraska and Kansas the Midwest. I think Colorado overs the West, in my opinion. We're the center. We are the center. Kind of like the middle. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. That's the Midwest. Dickie D says y'all don't qualify. West is over the Rockies. I could get behind that. Mid-Northwestern, Nebraska and Kansas. Yeah. The great debate has started. I'm seeing people on Instagram shorts eating cottage cheese and ketchup. Chris? It's scary the things you see people do on Instagram shorts these days. That could be the scariest. Next, we'll see people on Instagram shorts eating chili and cinnamon rolls, or we'll see somebody eating bananas and cheddar cheese. My uncle will put a pack of hot dogs in his chili while it's cooking, then throw it in a bun and eat it. That's pretty smart. That's probably pretty good. They say the best hot dog on the planet is from where does Boston Red Sox? What's their field? Where do they play? It's got the big thing in the outfield. They say they have the best hot dogs. Drawing a blank. But you know what I'm talking about. Fenway. Yes, they say Fenway Park has the best hot dog you'd ever want to eat. And I heard on some cooking show, like when I was a kid, or not a kid, but like years and years and years ago, that the secret ingredient to a Fenway dog is celery salt on the wiener. Try it. This is going to cause a second civil war. What is Midwest states? My dad likes Vienna sausages, and I want to hurl every time he opens a can of them. He doesn't drink the juice. He's not that disgusting, but he does eat those little nasty ass wieners. And I was asking him about it, and I was like, He was sitting in a chair beside me eating them. I was like, "How do you eat those nasty fucking things?" He's like, "What?" And I was like, "How do you eat those nasty little wieners?" He's like, "I love them." I'm like, "This is gross." But celery salt is a staple on a Chicago dog. Maybe they stole it. Here's another question. Jeremy's trying to stir the damn chili pot. And what, in y'all's opinion, what is Kentucky? Well, Jeremy, I have an opinion on this. In my opinion, because of Navionics, is that Kentucky is in the east. Because when I went to Kentucky Lake, I bought the South card so I could have Kentucky Lake on it. But guess what? Kentucky is on Kentucky Lake, Northern Tennessee, Kentucky. Um, qualifies as far as Navionics goes on the East card. So I blame Navionics for my exclusion of Kentucky from the South. Simply for that reason. Because I thought the same thing. I thought Kentucky, that's the South, man. They got a bunch of hillbillies and rednecks up in Kentucky. I should have the South card for Kentucky Lake. Wrong answer. So if you're ever traveling there, I don't know if they changed it or not, but back in the mid 2000s, Kentucky Lake was not on the South card; it was on the East card. So there's my answer for the. Using Navionics to name parts of the country, they should be good. Yeah. Kentucky is the deep South, according to those in Michigan. Yeah, I would reckon so. Michigan is the deep South, according to those in Canada. I guess it's all relative, right? In the Arctic, the Arctic would be a better. South is Texas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. You throw Virginia in the South? I don't think so, dude. Here's another thing. This might catch a little flack. I don't consider Texas the South. There. I said it. Unpopular opinion. But I don't consider Texas. I consider Texas Texas. Texas is like its own planet. They have their yeah, I would consider Virginia the Northeast. I think once you get out of the Carolinas, you kind of lose some of that like Southern heritage. Yeah, I think that's why Dickie D is like Texas isn't. It's too big. Like it's Texas is just Texas. It's like everything is west of Texas is the west, and then everything east of Texas is the south. Texas is just Texas, and everything north of it is like the Midwest. I guess Arkansas qualifies for the South, but kind of. Um, but I've never considered Texas part of the South. Texas is just Texas, exactly. Um, according to Bassmaster, the James River and the Potomac are in the north. Yeah, and I was Dickie D. Same thing with Florida. Florida is not the South. Florida is just Florida. Florida gonna Florida. It's the same with Texas. They're the two unique states. The Plains states. That would be a very good term. Yeah, New Mexico's kind of in that. They're kind of western. They're kind of west though. They got all that. They got Western history. Douglas was on the North schedule the first year I fished the Opens. Oh, idiots. Tennessee is stocking F1s in Kentucky Lake. That's exciting. I'll be interested to see how those hold up. But, well, let me go. Let me go blast some baits. Oh, I got to order a radiator. Excuse me. But good talking to you, gentlemen, again. It was fun. I heard the bait is coming back. We'll talk about Kentucky Lake for a minute. Dickie D has heard. Jeremy, can you confirm that the bait is coming back in Kentucky Lake? Is there a uptick in threadfin and gizzards and other little unknown shiners that swim around the bank that nobody knows what they are? And y'all know the ones I'm talking about. When you walk down to the bank of some lake and you see this little minnow swimming around and it doesn't look like anything but like just a little bitty fish. You're like, what is that? It's a minnow. Look it up. They've been stocking the hell out of it. Way to go. Way to go, Texas, or I mean, Tennessee. Well, hopefully, just got a new ultralight rain shell 2XL. Comes in at 5 ounces. It's pretty damn light, dude. Your hat's heavier than that. From everything Jeremy's heard, they are making a comeback. Are they stocking bait or just fish, Jeremy? I need, where's Darius? He fishes that damn place every day. He'll know. Darius, where are you? You forgot about me. I went out of town for I didn't do a live stream for 2 weeks, and everybody bails on me. It will fit in the pocket of my life jacket. Do you trust that, AJ? Wouldn't that basically be a Disney World poncho? Dickie D, you damn right. You let me know when it's time to go back to Kentucky Lake, and I'll follow behind you, and we'll go up there and decimate Kentucky Lake again. I love that damn place. Favorite lake in the country, hands down. Hands down. I've never fished Falcon or Amistad back in the day, which they looked fun. But and I've fished Guntersville a ton. I've never fished Champlain, but of all the lakes I have fished, Kentucky Lake was insane. It was hands down the best public fishery I've ever been to. I didn't know public lakes could be that good. I had no idea. Champlain's worth the trip. Yeah, I figured it would be. That's on my bucket list. Champlain's on my bucket list. But I don't want to get a guide trip. I want to pull my boat up there. I want to fish out of my boat. But the other thing I don't want to do is I don't want to pull my boat up there and then destroy my boat. You know what I mean? Like that's the worst. Is like you go, you plan on this trip and then you like pull your boat all the way up there and then like your boat's not ready for like whatever it's about to happen and you like rip the trolling motor off and you're like transom falls off or something. So I at some point I would like to Dickie D, here's the thing about Champlain. The reason I want to go to Champlain. I want to do 2 things at Champlain. I want to fish those reeds or buggy whips or whatever that Brower was in. You know the ones where all you see is Brower's rod and his like hook set and him yanking like 4 pounders out of those reeds. I'd like to fish those, and I would like to fish that big, long, giant set of pilings that Rick Clunn fished back in '99, the year I think Ike might have won. Um, and if you go back and watch that Bassmaster, Clunn is very secretive, and we used to always make fun of it um, because he was so cryptic in his answer when they asked him about how he was catching his fish, and he was very robotic in explaining what he was doing. And he said, "Me and my brother Randy found some fish up north on wood." Randy Fight was his brother-in-law, I believe, and he was also in the table in the tournament, and they were sharing, I believe, that water. But I don't know if I feel like that place is like a community hole, but he was acting like it was like this super top secret spot. Maybe back in '99 people didn't fish that huge set of pilings, bridge pilings or pier pilings, whatever they were. But dude, I'm gonna have to get the I'm gonna have to get this combo out, but with my flipping stick, and I'm gonna have to put me a damn uh, half-ounce Brower jig on there and go pull string in them weeds. Pretend like I'm Brower. Um, yeah, Eric would definitely have to come up. That's a pretty badass little bait there, Dicky D. Pretty badass little bait. But what Rob was at? That was the old Team Dobble. This is the S spinnerbait and crankbait composite rod from the late '90s, early 2000s. Dicky D, I don't typically, but I liked the size of this one, so it fit what I was trying to do here. Um, but I do want to do that. Um, I would like to go to the California Delta. The other one I want to go fish. I want to go fish from like Venice up in Louisiana and fish to like up into the basin and stuff. I would like to go in Bayou Black and like see where Randy what's his name, Davey Height won the classic, Lake Buff or whatever it's called. Um, uh, but my problem with going over to Louisiana and fishing the Delta over there is I want to, it's on the list, but I don't want to because I'm fearful that I would move there. The Rick Clunn RC3 and RC2 pose are very sweet. They're the pose version of a killer bee. They're no killer bees, but they're decent. Um, so yeah, I basically just want to go relive all my childhood memories on all these lakes. You don't want to move here, dude. I love Louisiana a lot. Like the reason I love Louisiana is because Louisiana has like culture and they have like an identity. Uh, Louisiana is very much Louisiana. There's nowhere on earth like Louisiana. Alabama does not have a personality. Alabama does not have an identity. It does not have anything to like stand on. You know what I mean? It's just like it's Alabama. Uh, but Louisiana is very much like the people there, it's kind of like Texas. Like Texans have pride. Louisiana people, typically have pride about like their culture and like where they came from and all that kind of shit. But I don't think it was kind of lame. Um, the diversity of fishing in Kentucky. Yeah, there was a. I watched a tournament on the Cumberland River. Uh, that's where Mark Menendez had to DQ himself or DQ his catch that day. I forget where he ran. Oh, he was. Yeah, they were fishing the Cumberland River, and Menendez ran to the dam, and he took his life jacket off and made a cast. And then I remember this very well. Menendez, if you're out there and you happen to watch this, my favorite quote from you was you pulled up to the dam and you made a cast without your life jacket on, too close to the dam. You broke a rule. You pick up your flip phone and you called Trip Weldon and you said, Trip, smart. I made a boo boo, buddy. Oh, what a great quote. I made a boo boo, buddy. I pulled up here and all my excitement, I got up and made a cast without my life jacket on. So I think he caught two. I don't remember if he had to throw those fish back and he could continue fishing. I don't remember what the whole thing was, but I made a boo boo, buddy. The Cumberland River below Cumberland Lake is nothing to go catch a 30-pound striper. That's fun. Oh, I always heard another. This is Tennessee, but I always really enjoyed Old Hickory Lake. We caught them really good at Kentucky Lake. I mean, at Old Hickory in Henderson, right outside of Nashville, and I really enjoyed the diversity of Old Hickory, and I thought Old Hickory was a really fun place to fish. And all the locals talked about how shitty it was, and I didn't think it was that shitty. Like they acted like how tough it was. It was like impossible to catch a fish, and like little limits, and like it wasn't like Kentucky Lake or anything, or like a Tennessee River or something, but there was still like fish in there, and they bit good. Um, but they say if you go down below the dam on the lower end of Old Hickory, that is really good right there. I don't know what that is, but it interests me. Um, Anybody from up that way ever fished below Old Hickory Dam? Within an hour of my house, I can fish 6 or 7 different lakes and fish every one of them different. That's pretty fun. That's pretty fun. If you feel like going and spinning rodding, you can go find you a deep clear one. If you go feel like powering, you can go power up the biffle sticks, the Brower poles. Yeah, back in those days, Old Hickory was it was a shit dump compared to Kentucky Lake, but Old Hickory was fun. Johnny Cash had a house there. I want to say Dickie D was the Kentucky Lake Dam, the one on the upper end. I think I can find you the tournament if you'd like. If you'd like to watch it. If you'd like to hear Mark Menendez say, "Trip, I made a boo boo, buddy." But it's a pretty good tournament, I believe. Maybe I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure. I'll have to look it up and see. But I want to say that's what they said. I don't know what other dam it would have been. Um, but there was a lot of famous people, like country music stars, have had houses on Old Hickory. I mean, it's literally 20 minutes outside of Nashville. But Dickie D, I'm about to get off here. I'll look it up and send it to you. I will look it up and send it to you. But all right, I got to get back to work. Good talking to y'all. Just trying to play catch up, say hello, show my face. I'm not alive. I terminated an animal. Got blood on my hands. All is well, except my truck got a leaky radiator, but I'll get that fixed. All right, y'all be good. Talk to you later. Bye bye. Yes, and